Imagine a kingdom tearing itself apart. Division, chaos, and gods at war. For generations, kings were forgotten, erased, or feared. The dream of a unified Egypt was crumbling. But then, one ruler rose from the ashes of this fractured land, a king determined to restore order and heal the deep wounds of his people. His name was Khasekhemwy, the last king of the Second Dynasty, and the man who saved Egypt from itself. By the time Khasekhemwy took the throne, around 2700 BCE, Egypt was on the edge of a cliff. The two lands, Upper Egypt in the south and Lower Egypt in the north, which had been unified centuries before, were now bitter rivals. Powerful factions fought for control, loyalty was fleeting, and the very idea of a single, respected king was fading. It felt like the kingdom was regressing, sliding back into a prehistoric era of warring tribes. Even the gods seemed to be in conflict. The two most powerful deities, Horus the falcon god and Seth the god of chaos, were seen as representing the two rival lands. Their divine struggle mirrored the political chaos on the ground. The nation was at a breaking point. It desperately needed a leader who was not just a warrior, but a visionary, a diplomat capable of mending a broken world. This was the stage set for Khasekhemwy's arrival. When he ascended to the throne, Khasekhemwy made his mission clear from the very beginning, and he did it in the most powerful way an ancient king could, through his name. He called himself Khasekhemwy, which means the two powers appear. This wasn't just a name. It was a declaration of intent, a promise to the people of Egypt. The two powers he referred to were Horus and Seth, the divine symbols of Upper and Lower Egypt. By taking this name, he was telling everyone that his reign would be about reconciliation, not conquest. He would be the king who finally brought these opposing forces together, who would unite the north and the south, and who would restore the sacred balance between the gods and the king. It was an incredibly bold statement in a time of such deep division, a signal that a new kind of leadership had arrived, one focused on healing and unity. But words alone couldn't fix a broken kingdom. Peace had to be earned, and sometimes that meant war. Khasekhemwy inherited a land in open rebellion. Uprisings flared up across both the north and the south, challenging his authority and threatening to shatter the kingdom for good. This was a full-blown civil war, and the survival of the Egyptian throne hung in the balance. Khasekhemwy knew he had to act decisively. He marched his armies against the rebels, showing he was not a king to be trifled with. He used a combination of overwhelming force and clever strategy to crush the rebellions one by one. But he wasn't just a conqueror. After each victory, he worked to integrate the defeated regions back into the kingdom. He didn't just win battles, he won the peace that followed. After years of brutal conflict, the fighting finally ceased. Upper and Lower Egypt were once again united under a single crown. The kingdom, which had been on the brink of collapse, was whole again, thanks to a king who understood that sometimes you have to fight for peace. With the wars over, Khasekhemwy turned his attention to the spiritual heart of the problem, the conflict between the gods. He knew that true unity couldn't just be political, it had to be religious. To heal the nation, he had to heal the divine realm. He did something revolutionary. On his royal monuments, especially his Serek, which is the king's official emblem, he didn't just feature the traditional Horus falcon. He placed the animal of the god Seth right alongside it. For the first time, both gods appeared together, protecting and endorsing the king. This was a masterful piece of political and religious propaganda. The message was unmistakable. The king embodies both sides of Egypt's duality. He is the living bridge between Horus and Seth, between north and south. The throne was no longer a prize to be fought over by rival gods and factions. It was a single, sacred, and unbroken institution, divinely sanctioned by all the powers of the cosmos. This act of religious diplomacy cemented his rule and laid the spiritual foundation for a lasting peace. Khasekhemwy wasn't just a unifier, he was also a builder. He understood that a great king must leave behind a legacy in stone, monuments that would proclaim his power and vision for eternity. And what he built was truly staggering. At the ancient royal cemetery of Abydos, he constructed a massive funerary enclosure, a monumental structure of mud brick that dwarfed anything built before it. This building, now known as Shunit el-Zebub, is one of the oldest standing large-scale royal buildings in the world. He also erected commemorative stelae, stone slabs that celebrated his victories and, more importantly, his successful reunification of the two lands. His inscriptions consistently emphasized his divine authority and his role as the great unifier. Through these grand projects, Khasekhemwy wasn't just showing off his wealth. He was proving a crucial point, that kingship, even after facing total collapse, could not only survive, but thrive. He demonstrated that with strategy, vision, and a powerful belief in divine order, a king could build a legacy that would outlast chaos itself. Khasekhemwy's death around 2686 BC marked the formal end of the tumultuous Second Dynasty. But unlike the chaotic transitions that had plagued his predecessors, his passing was different. He left behind a kingdom that was strong, stable, and, most importantly, united. The throne he passed on was no longer fragile. The peace he had fought so hard for held firm. By solving the crises of his time, he had paved the way for a new era of unprecedented prosperity and achievement. His reign served as the crucial bridge between the chaotic early dynastic period and the glorious age that was to follow, the Old Kingdom, the time of the Great Pyramid builders. Without Khasekhemwy's leadership, Egypt's future might have been one of perpetual division and weakness. The pyramids of Giza, the temples of Karnak, none of it might have happened. He secured the foundation upon which all of ancient Egypt's future glory was built. So, why does this king from nearly 5,000 years ago still matter? He shows that true kingship, true leadership, requires a delicate balance of both strength and wisdom, of war and diplomacy. And most importantly, his story teaches us that unity is never a given. It is a choice, something that must be actively fought for, built, and maintained. Khasekhemwy is the forgotten hero who rescued Egypt from the brink of collapse, the leader who single-handedly steered his kingdom away from chaos and toward its golden age. If you enjoyed this deep dive into ancient history, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There are so many more stories like this to tell, stories of the kings and queens who shaped our world. Thanks for watching.